My name is Melissa McMahon, and I am the Kiwanis International Youth Protection Specialist. And today, I've put together some youth protection and virtual meeting tips that you can use as your club transitions to possibly holding Key Club, Builders Club virtual meetings. So as Kiwanis Service Leadership Programs move to virtual or online meeting platforms during this time of COVID-19, as the schools have closed and some of the extracurricular activities have closed, Kiwanis members have still been meeting virtually. And some are using Zoom, GoToMeeting, Microsoft Teams, or Google Hangouts. Oftentimes, you can set up an account for free. If you would like more information on how to set up an account, you can go to our Kiwanis.org website and search for COVID resources. But as service leadership programs offer events or virtual meetings, we wanted to offer some reminders to continue to keep youth safe virtually. So all of our Kiwanis International Youth Protection policies still apply in virtual meetings. Some of the recommendations that we have and some best practices for virtual meetings are using business type platforms. Like we said, Zoom, Skype, those types of platforms that have good safety and privacy features, avoiding the platforms that are used for other purposes like gaming, using Xbox or Discord. Also, it's important to use a unique link for the virtual meeting invitations instead of using the same general link that you might on a month-to-month basis. Using a unique link requires that individuals must have that unique invitation to be able to enter into the virtual meeting room. Also, using a password feature for all meetings eliminates or prevents non-Kiwanis service leadership members or just random strangers trying to access the virtual meeting if there's a password that is set up in the platform. Also, remember to not publish the meeting links or the URLs on a public forum on your Key Club website or your Facebook page. You want to send those invitations for virtual meetings with youth on an individual basis or in individual emails. Also, remind attendees not to pass along the meeting link to non-Kiwanis student members. You can also use the waiting room feature, which if you're not familiar with this, basically when you set up your Zoom meeting, you can establish a waiting room so that the host can allow users to enter in, and so they can verify, does the name match up with the picture of the person. And you may even ask for all of the participants on the Zoom call to actually type in their name instead of just a generic Apple user. They might actually say, this is Melissa McMahon, and the picture matches that person, and that you're ensuring and screening applicants or that people that are trying to enter into the virtual room, that they're supposed to be there. Also, you can disable screen sharing by non-host or presenters. So as student members come into a Zoom or a virtual meeting, you can set up your settings within the platform so that only the host or the presenter is sharing their screen, so that you don't have students sharing inappropriate things back and forth to other students without you knowing it. You can also disable the private chat feature and set it up in the platform so that only if there is any kind of questions or chat, that it goes directly to the host or maybe another co-host, someone who has been designated as the person responsible for answering the questions so that students know that they're not private messaging each other during the presentation or during the virtual meeting. And this isn't to say that students are encouraged to participate and talk and so forth, but we just want to make sure that everything is appropriate. We also recommend that do not take pictures of the Zoom meeting where there are multiple shares of different youth photos, or take a screenshot through your computer. We don't want to take photographs or video without express consent given from the students. And also do not record activities, online activities or the meetings, and then post them online in a public forum. So you don't want to do a webinar and then share that onto your Facebook page without consent and of all the participants that are in the meeting, so making sure that their parents and guardians have agreed that that's okay. We also want to make sure that the students that are participating is their appropriate attire, are their appropriate tops and bottoms, not wearing pajamas and so forth. Also appropriate background and noises. So keeping background noises to a minimum and distractions. There's also background images. Want to make sure that there's nothing inappropriate in the background. On the Kiwanis.org website, which I've listed a link, there are some images that you can download the Kiwanis backdrop and you can upload it into your virtual meeting if you would like to have a Kiwanis logo as your backdrop. Also, alcohol, tobacco, and drugs are not permitted in or outside of virtual calls. This aligns with our youth protection policy as well. Appropriate language. We want the virtual meetings or the virtual activities to be a celebration, a welcoming event, talking about service and leadership and fellowship with one another. So language should not be bullying in nature or vulgar or name calling. And if it is, then the advisor needs to speak up and stop that type of behavior, because that's not the quality code of conduct that we expect our student members to uphold to. And appropriate conduct, if anything is inappropriate or threatening or offensive in nature, they should be called out and stopped. Also, I wanted to share a resource for you if you're not already familiar with it, but the Youth Protection has a Presidium Youth Protection training, and advisors are already set up. So the Service Leadership Program advisors are already set up with user passwords and usernames. If you don't have that, you can request for it to be reset and sent to you through the email at the support@presidiuminc.com, or you can contact me at youthprotections@kiwanis.org and we can send you your password. But there is a social media training that you can take to educate yourself more about virtual media, social media, online activities. If you're someone who is not familiar or not interested in social media, but you know that the students that are involved in your service leadership club are. This is one of the training modules that advisors are asked to take. And if you're a Kiwanis member and a non-advisor, and you would still like to take this course, along with several of the other child abuse prevention, sexual abuse prevention courses through Presidium, you can actually go on to your Kiwanis member page in the Membership Update Center and click a link that says Create Presidium Account. You can also review the social media policy if you have any questions. So all Kiwanis members who are working with youth must review the youth protection policies and procedures on an annual basis. And if you'd like to look for the latest copy, you can always find it on the Kiwanis.org Youth Protection website. And lastly, we have Kiwanis International has entered into an agreement with Presidium to provide a 24-hour, 7 days a week hotline that Kiwanis adult members or youth student members can call and report abuse, child abuse, inappropriate predatory behavior, or any kind of policy violations. This helpline is staffed by professionals, and they will then route calls to the youth protection team, and we will investigate them further and proceed with next steps. So if you have any questions related to these tips for virtual meetings, you can reach me, Melissa, at thebackgroundchecks@kiwanis.org or youthprotection@kiwanis.org. And if you'd like to know more about youth protection policies and procedures, you can visit our Kiwanis.org Youth Protection webpage.